Have you ever opened your document, typed a few sentences, and then deleted them because they didn't feel good enough? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. One of the biggest reasons new writers struggle to finish their first sweet romance novel is the belief that the first draft needs to be very good. In fact, that was me at the beginning. I really thought that my first draft needed to be almost perfect. But here's the truth that every experienced writer eventually learns. A first draft is not supposed to be perfect. The real purpose of a first draft is simply to exist. Hello, I'm Lorna Faith, and I write in many different genres of fiction, but I also write sweet romance books with my pen name, Melody Archer. I enjoy helping beginning writers who want to write sweet romance stories that connect deeply to readers. In today's video, I'm going to show you why your first draft doesn't need to be perfect, and how letting go of that pressure will be the very thing that you do so that you can actually finish writing your sweet romance. Tip number 1. The first draft is for discovering your story. When you start writing your first sweet romance novel, you're not just telling the story, you're also discovering it as you write. Even if you have an outline, there are many details that seem to come up and they only reveal themselves as you write. For example, characters begin to feel more real. Dialogue becomes more clear. Scenes develop emotional depth. And this process is normal. Many writers think they're doing something wrong when the story changes while they write. But that's actually how stories grow. There will be surprises along the way. Some character will speak to you in your mind as you are writing a scene, and you'll stop and say, where did that come from? And you'll be surprised, which is actually part of the wonderful thing about writing, is these surprises along the way. I really believe that'll happen to you too. Just enjoy the journey, enjoy these surprises that show up. But remember, this is actually how stories grow. Your first draft is simply where the story finds its shape. Your first draft is for discovering the story, so just enjoy the process. Tip number 2. Editing too early stops progress. Another common mistake beginning writers make is editing while they write. You might write a paragraph and then reread it and then rewrite it and then change it again. And suddenly you've spent an hour polishing 3 sentences. I remember when I was first starting out writing with my first book, write a scene or a chapter, and then I'd come back the next day and I would tear through it, just editing and editing and editing. And I wouldn't write anything that day. All I had done was edit. And then I was so disappointed because I had really wanted to write the next chapter in the story. And so I just encourage you, instead of going back and editing the last scene that you wrote, when you're in drafting mode, just keep writing the story. You can always sort through the details when you finally get to the editing stage where you have finished your novel. I really believe the problem is that editing too early slows your progress so much that the story somehow loses its momentum and it seems to have a tough time moving forward. Instead of trying to perfect each scene, focus on moving through the story from the beginning all the way to the end, because you can always improve it later. This is the beautiful thing about writing. But you can't revise a book that hasn't been finished. So just focus on writing all the way to the end and enjoy the story. Tip number 3. Imperfect drafts still create strong stories. Almost every published novel started as a messy first draft. I can definitely say that about all the books I've written, is that they always start with a messy first draft. They always need to be edited and revised and fixed later. But that first draft is a messy and a very imperfect draft, at least in my case. So first drafts often include details like awkward dialogue or missing descriptions or scenes that feel too short or scenes that feel too long. This is very normal. So think of the first draft as you're building the framework of a house. You're putting up the walls and the structure, and the beautiful details will come later during the editing and the revising stage. First, just focus on writing that strong story. One of the tips that I've learned for creating a strong story is really digging deeper into the characters, into their fears and their wounds and their misbeliefs, and how is that transformation going to happen in both the hero and the heroine when you really focus on those deeper issues of both of your main characters. In my experience, that is what the readers really love, because you'll just find some gems that come out of your writing, and you'll stop and you'll say, where did that come from? But it'll be just a beautiful tie-in to your story. So I encourage you, focus on the imperfect draft and dig deeper into who your characters actually are. This is going to really help you to write a very meaningful, sweet romance that your readers will absolutely love. Tip number 4, a simple mindset shift for beginning writers. Instead of trying to write a perfect first draft, try this goal instead. Write a complete draft. And that means reaching the ending of your story, finishing the character journey for both the hero and the heroine, and also completing the love story. So the completion of the love story happens after, that black moment. Often the two main characters have broken up, and because there's some kind of crisis that has happened, they finally realize how much they love the other person and how wrong they were about these different fears that they've had about falling in love. And so this is where the hero and the heroine get together. It's after the black moment and after the climax. And sometimes, and readers often like this part, there's a grand gesture, like she's driving to the airport. She's going to get on that flight and fly back to where she came from, to where her job is. But he chases after her and he meets her in the airport. That's the grand gesture. And he asks her to marry him or something. You've seen that in movies, but often readers in romance books love that grand gesture too. And so this is all part of that finishing, writing the end of your sweet romance. And once you have a full draft, then you can improve it step by step. But finishing the story first is the most important milestone. And it just really is a wonderful feeling to have finished writing a full book, a full sweet romance. You are just going to love it. So I want to encourage you, don't stop, but keep going. You are going to love holding that book in your hands. And then tip number 5, a helpful writing habit. If perfectionism tends to slow you down, try setting a small writing goal. For example, write for 20 minutes a day, or write one scene at a time. Small progress builds momentum. And that's actually what I did this morning. I didn't actually do a word count, but I finished writing a scene. And sometimes that is just what you need to inspire you for coming back to it the next day, because you'll have sparked some new ideas. Sometimes that's exactly what will help you to build that momentum which you're wanting, so that you can finish writing your sweet romance. Because it's the momentum and the excitement, and I think the two are kind of tied together, but it's both of those things that will help you to finish writing your story. If you are needing help with any of the step-by-step process of creating characters, discovering your plot or your tropes or your setting, any of that, I've created a sweet romance story pack that includes simple worksheets for story ideas, characters, plotting. You can download it for free in the description at the link below this video, and I hope it really helps you in your story. So I encourage you to allow yourself to discover this story and to write that messy first draft and to write it all the way to the end. Once the story exists, you can shape it into something beautiful. And that's when you will really feel a sense of accomplishment in finishing your sweet romance. I hope these tips were encouraging and helped you today. If this video was helpful to you, please subscribe and hit the like button below so that the algorithm shows this video to more beginning writers who want to learn to write sweet romance. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.